Welcome to the Nameless.
The camera was found 3 miles off the trail, sitting upright on a rock like someone had placed it there on purpose. The last photo on the memory card was of the missing hiker himself, smiling into the lens like he was posing for a profile picture. Clean, calm, almost relieved. The problem was the timestamp. It was dated 7 days after he'd officially vanished. That's the part everyone focuses on when this story gets told. It's the hook. But the truth is, by the time I saw that photo, the timestamp wasn't even the worst thing I'd learned out there. I was only involved because I knew him. Evan and I worked together at a distribution warehouse outside Spokane. Night shift. We weren't close friends, but we talked. You get used to people when you're stacking pallets together at 3 in the morning. He was quiet, polite, always tired in that peaceful way outdoorsy people have. The kind of guy who drank black coffee and never complained. He hiked alone. A lot. That wasn't weird where we lived. Everyone knew Evan as that hiking guy. He disappeared into the Cascades on his days off and come back with pictures of foggy ridgelines and half-melted snowfields. He wasn't reckless. He logged routes, checked weather, left itineraries with his sister. That's why when he didn't come back on Sunday night, people noticed fast. Search and rescue went out Monday morning. They found his car at the trailhead, locked, wallet inside. No signs of struggle, just gone. After 4 days, the official search scaled down. Volunteers kept going. That's where I came in. I don't know why I volunteered, honestly. Maybe guilt, maybe curiosity. Maybe I just didn't like the idea of someone I knew vanishing into trees and becoming a statistic. His sister put out a call online asking for anyone familiar with the area to help. I'd done some hiking there, not solo, not deep, but enough to know the terrain.
So that Saturday, I joined a small group heading into the backcountry to check a less traveled spur trail Evan had mentioned at work once. Just a comment he made in passing about how quiet it was. There were 5 of us, no professionals, just locals with packs, radios, and laminated maps. We were told not to expect anything. Most missing hiker cases end the same way. Exposure, injury, you find gear, maybe bones years later. The first few hours felt normal, too normal. Birds, wind in the trees, jokes about who forgot sunscreen. It almost felt disrespectful, laughing out there. Then the little things started. We found a boot print that didn't make sense. It was Evan's size, same tread as the boots in his photos, but it was pressed into a patch of pine needles like he'd stepped straight down from above. No lead-up prints, no exit, just one deep impression, then nothing. We chalked it up to erosion. Animals. The forest rearranges itself all the time.
Then we found a candy wrapper. Evan was obsessive about leave no trace. He'd lectured me once for tossing a receipt in a trash bag that wasn't tied. But there it was, a granola bar wrapper folded neatly and wedged into a tree fork at eye level. Clean, not weathered, like it had been placed there recently. Still, none of that was enough to scare me. Uneasy, sure, but not scared. That came later. We split into pairs after lunch, staying within radio range. I was with a guy named Mark, an older volunteer who knew the trails better than anyone. We followed a dry creek bed uphill, calling Evan's name every few minutes. The forest got quieter the higher we went. Not silent, just muted, like someone had turned down the background noise. Even our footsteps sounded wrong, too loud and too soft at the same time. Mark stopped suddenly and held up a hand. "Do you hear that?" he asked. I listened. At first, nothing. Then I realized that was the problem. No wind. No birds. No bugs. Just us. Breathing. Then, faintly came a sound from uphill. A camera shutter. One sharp click. Mark laughed nervously and said it was probably a branch snapping, but he didn't believe it. I could tell by the way he kept scanning the trees, radio clutched too tight in his hand. We called it in anyway. The response was delayed, crackly. Radio interference is common out there. Still, it felt wrong. We kept going. About 20 minutes later, we found the camera. It was Evan's. Same scratched lens ring I'd seen in his photos, same paracord wrist strap. It was sitting on a flat rock, pointed at the trail, like someone had set it up to wait. Mark reached for it, then hesitated. "I don't like this," he said. Neither did I. We took it back to the group. No one wanted to turn it on out there, but curiosity won. We scrolled through the photos together, huddled close like idiots watching a horror movie on a phone. The first few images were normal. Landscapes, trees, a selfie of Evan squinting into the sun. The timestamps matched his planned route. Then there was a gap. 4 days missing. After that, the photos started again. They were off. Same locations, but the lighting was wrong. Shadows stretching too long. The sky darker than it should have been. Evan appeared in some of them, standing farther back each time, always looking at the camera instead of the scenery. He never looked scared. The last photo was the one everyone knows about. Evan close to the lens, face filling the frame, smiling wide, too wide. Eyes a little unfocused, like he was looking past the camera instead of into it. Timestamp, 1 week after he disappeared. We argued about it. Corrupted data, wrong settings, anything but the obvious. That's when we heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, not trying to hide. Someone was walking around us in a wide circle. We called out, asked if anyone else was out there. No answer. Just footsteps crunching leaves, always staying just out of sight. Then Evan's voice came from the trees. "Hey," it said, calm, friendly, exactly how he sounded at work. "You guys find it?" My stomach dropped. Mark whispered, "That's not right." We backed together, scanning the tree line. The voice moved as we did, keeping distance, like it was hurting us. "Don't leave it behind," the voice said. "I need that." The radio finally crackled to life with the others asking what was wrong. Mark tried to respond, but the signal died mid-sentence. That's when I saw him. Or it. Between 2 trees uphill, something stood that looked like a person trying very hard to remember how people stand. Too still, too upright. Evan's jacket hung off it, but wrong, like it was being worn by something that didn't have shoulders in the right place. Its face was in shadow, but I knew it was smiling. Not at us. At the camera in Mark's hands. It took a step forward and stopped, like it was waiting for permission. We ran. There was no dramatic chase, no screaming, just pure panic and bad decisions. Branches tore at us. We slipped, fell, got back up. The footsteps followed, never rushing, never falling behind. Evan's voice kept talking. "Wait," it said. "You're going the wrong way. Come back." At one point, I glanced over my shoulder and saw it standing in the trail, holding the camera up at arm's length, lens pointed at us. Click. We burst into a clearing, and the sound stopped. No footsteps, no voice, just wind rushing back into the trees like it had been holding its breath. The radio worked again. We screamed for help. Search and rescue found us an hour later. Shaken, scratched, missing Mark's pack. He dropped it somewhere in the run. They never found it. They never found Evan either. The camera was taken as evidence. We gave statements. They told us stress does things to perception, that timestamps can glitch, that voices echo. I quit my job a month later. I don't hike anymore. Sometimes, though, I'll be scrolling online and see a photo from that area, a random hiker's post. And in the background, just at the edge of the frame, there'll be someone standing too still, smiling at the camera. And the timestamps are always wrong.